The popularity of JRPGs has increased significantly during the past several years. In recent years, the number of games that follow the JRPG formula has grown significantly. Games created both in Japan and in other nations are included in this list of forthcoming JRPGs. Although it mostly focuses on Japanese games, several of the titles on this list feature traditional JRPG elements.
Wait! My crystal. It's her.
These are the top 10 upcoming JRPGs in 2022. Before we begin, please like and subscribe to my channel. Without further ado, let's get into it. Number 10. Valkyrie Elysium. Valkyrie Elysium is a new console and RPG entry in the series, with some heavier action influence.
Asunder. All we hold precious lies on the brink of annihilation.
The full 3D is an interesting choice, one I'd like to see more of before passing judgment. The original Valkyrie profile has retained a fervent following through the years from RPG fans. It's currently coming to PlayStation 4, PS5, and PC via Steam in 2022. Number 9. Granblue Fantasy Relink. Granblue Fantasy Relink is the next game on our list. Sadly, the game has been postponed till 2023. However, there is little doubt that the game will see more delays given that it is a member of the Granblue Fantasy series. We certainly hope so. Over the years, the series has developed a sizable fan audience, and we believe that this spin-off will further grow that fan base. Number 8. The Diofield Chronicle. The Diofield Chronicle is a new strategy RPG from Square Enix and Lancarse. It follows a band of mercenaries called Blue Fox, as war erupts around them. The game has a real-time battle system that utilizes strategy and decision-making about unit strengths and weaknesses.
The aim is to break our lines, but we will stand firm to the bitter end.
We may even be able to take back Dagland if we pursue them now.
We'll hold them here.
It's reminding me a bit of Triangle Strategy with its isometric view and shading. Number 7. The Legend of Heroes Trails from Zero. One of the finest games in the franchise was the original The Legend of Heroes Trails from Zero. Sadly, the game was never released in the West until recently. Since the event commemorating Falcom's 40th anniversary, the company has invested heavily on several of their classic JRPG games. And for that, we are all appreciative of them.
懐かしいけど、この街並みじゃ浮いてるよな。
Lyad Bannings and the other members of the special support section will be swamped with odd chores and charitable work, while also learning some rather sinister secrets. Number 6. The Legend of Heroes Kuro no Kiseki 2 Crimson Sin. This is, perhaps, more for the Japanese fans out there, but since the Western adaptation of the original Kuro no Kiseki is scheduled to debut on July 27, we figured we'd get the more pertinent sequel on this list. Peace has been re-established in Calvard 1 year after the events of the first game. However, that tranquility is only the interval before another clash. As they investigate a murder, reunite with Van Arkride and a few returning party members. Naturally, it always results in something more significant. Number 5. Chained Echoes. Chained Echoes is the epitome of a traditional role-playing game. It will have turn-based combat, countless gaming hours, and our own airship. This game is added to the list faster than you can say Final Fantasy XIV if you include massive mechs. It's encouraging to see more and more Western firms pick up the torch and continue creating the JRPGs we grew up with, even though Japanese companies may have outgrown the classic design. Number 4. Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion. We can only include so many Final Fantasy titles on our list, so we may as well include the Final Fantasy VII game that will be released this year, as Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 won't be available until late 2023 or early 2024.
Soldier First Class Genesis. A month ago, he went missing during a mission in Wutai.
The PSP version of Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion has been faithfully remastered. It serves as a direct prequel to Final Fantasy VII and describes Zack's journey and how it led to the development of 7. You know what? Let's stop there. There is also a glimpse of a sane Sephiroth before he discovered the truth. The release of this game is anticipated for later this year. Number 3. Sea of Stars. Sea of Stars is unquestionably the best indie JRPG that has been released so far this year. Even when compared to classical JRPGs from the 16-bit period, the animations in this game stand out on their own. It just seeks to update the traditional RPG in terms of turn-based fighting, narration, exploration, and interactions with the environment, while still providing a hearty dose of nostalgia and plain old straightforward fun. The game itself makes no claims to reinvent the JRPG landscape. Number 2. Xenoblade Chronicles 3. When an entire direct is largely devoted to you, you've achieved greatness at Nintendo. Nintendo has been building up this game to a major release in more than a month. This is for good cause. The Xenoblade Chronicles series is a cherished entry in the larger Xeno franchise.
All this depressing crap. Let's head back and hit the showers. I'm all gunked up with blood and sweat.
The release of this game, which marks the end of the Xenoblade Chronicles trilogy, will be bittersweet. What a trip it has been, and what better way to conclude it than with a bang. And lastly, number 1, Final Fantasy XVI. There is a lot riding on Final Fantasy XVI. There aren't as many mainline Final Fantasy games as there once were, and each one seems to deviate more and more from what we've come to expect from a Final Fantasy game. Maybe that's just how the times are asking us to adapt.
Us closer to disaster. We must move now.
But the revelation of 16 gave a franchise that had primarily relied on remakes and online material new life. We should hopefully see a significant advancement in fantasy games when this game launches in the summer of 2023. We certainly don't need another 15 at this time.
To its foundations.
That concludes our list of the top 10 JRPGs coming in 2022 and beyond. There has never been a better moment to start playing JRPGs. It's incredible how many new and restored games there are. To think that just a few years ago, we were having trouble finding more than a few high-quality titles and were stuck with a small selection of outdated titles. For lovers of JRPGs, the times are truly changing for the better. If you like this kind of video, please be sure to like and subscribe to my channel. It will help me a lot.